Got it. Okay, so our main goal is to get to Omid Bays, and then we have a major Rashbam there. Tanrabanan. Ein Mekablin, yeah, there were 5 lines up from the bottom. Ein Mekablin Pikdoinus, Lemon Anoshim, Lemon Avadim. We're not Mekabel Pikdoinus. You're not allowed to take Pikodin. How do you type your Pikodin? The deposit, yeah. Lemon Anoshim, you can't take it from women, but Lemon Avadim. This is not so. This is one of those dafim where you don't want the women listening in, right? You can't take it from women and not from avodim. V'lo min hatinoikos and not from children. Again, women are equated with slaves and kids. And the reason why you're not allowed to take it from them is because we're afraid they stole the money from their husbands. Very hard concept for today's generation to understand this. Bottom line is a woman does not have any rights to her money. It all goes and all belongs to her husband. Right, so we're afraid that she took the illegally, and that's I don't know, illegally, we're against the halacha. Right, so fine, so you're not allowed to take it from them.
I don't know if you remember Jildor Shoes story I told you.
Oh, yeah, what was that story again?
Yeah, Maddie Cohen, the white shoe. Maddie Cohen told us. Jildor, let's say a lady bought shoes for $200. She put $300 on the credit card, and Jildor gave her back 100 mazumin. So this way, she picked up some mazumin from her husband.
Yeah, yep, that's a good. Yeah. Right. So this is exactly that case. Did you put that horror in your Gemara? Right. Did you put the horror in this stuff? Okay, very good. Very good. So fine. So you're not allowed to take it from them. Kibul min ha'isha, let's say you did, then yachzer leisha, then you give it back to the woman. So now already this is support for the women. Meaning don't take it from them. If you take it from them, then but you still give it back to the woman. So that means that we do think that there is a chance that it's her money. Meaning, lichatchila, we're choshid that it's not her money. But b'di'evid, we give it back to her. Vim mesa, and if she dies, yachsa l'bayla, but then if she dies, we give it back to the husband. Right? The Yarshim don't get it. Kibul min ha'eved, same thing. Yachsa l'eved, give it back to them. Vim mesa, yachsa l'rabi, give it to back to the master. On Talmud Aleph now. Kibul min ha'koton, if they were makabel the money from the koton, meaning you shouldn't take the money from the koton. But if you did Yasalef Skula, then you should make a Skula for him. Right now, a Skula doesn't mean what our Skulas are. It means you make a Segula literally means a how do you type it? Not a fund. I mean, it is a fund, but
trust.
Trust. What?
A trust.
It means a trust, but that's not the real type of Segula. Segula means like hidden or something like that. Right? And if he does, then Yachsa Liyarshin give it back to his Yarshin. The Kulan Shamru, in all these cases, in all these cases, if the guy says when they're dying, that it belongs to Pliny, meaning they were maida that they had stolen money, and they said who it belonged to, Yasa Kipirushan, then just listen, whoever's in charge of the money after he dies, so then he should just give it back, give it to the person who they said. And if not, he should make a pirush to their pirush. Right? Meaning decide who you think you should give it to. Right? Meaning, so now he's not even, whoever's in charge of the money, what do you call it, the guy, the executor, doesn't even get the money. I mean, he doesn't believe the guy. So he doesn't believe the guy, and still. Right, and still he could do whatever he wants with it. Fine. And then Gemara brings the story to Visu the Rav Bar Vachana Kikach Shachra. So the wife of Rav Vachana, when she was dying, Amra, she said, Hani Kipi, these earrings, the Marsa B'nai Barsa, that belong to Marsa and his daughter. Marsa is a male, right? Yeah, the Rashbam says it was Rachia's brother. Yeah, so Marsa Ubnei Barta. Her earrings belong to Marsa and his daughter's kids. Also, the Rav, they came in front of Rav. So what meaning? Who should she give it back to? I mean, again, she said on her deathbed that it belonged to Marsa and the kids. I'm relate. If you believe her, I say kipirusha, do like she said. And if not, also pirusha, make a pirusha the pirush, and to give it to whoever you think it belongs to. I don't know exactly how you're supposed to figure that out, right? But it is what it is, as they say. This is what Rab said to him. If you can evaluate that they could afford those particular earrings, I say kipirusha, then listen to her. And if not, I say pirush the pirush. Then you can make a pirush. Meaning, the second one was much more. What's it called? How do you say it? Much more specific. Like, okay, just evaluate if they seem they could afford these earrings, and then they could afford it. Fine. Minakot and yasis like skula. So you make a skula for the cotton. What do you do with the money? My skula. So it seems like a Gemara is ahead of its time. So Chista Amar Sefer Torah. It's a Sefer Torah, right? Meaning you put it into a Sefer Torah. It's not just nowadays that everybody that has a few dollars makes a Sefer Torah. It says you put the money into a Sefer Torah. What you do is you buy a palm tree that you could eat the dates from it. You put it into the palm tree, you eat the dates from it. So then that's I guess considered a sound investment on behalf of the Yisayman, right? Okay, so then fine. Then the Gemara says, we said that a father can make a chazaka on his son's belongings, and a son can make a chazaka on the father's belongings. Yeah. So Amar Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef said, afilu chalku. Even once they split up, meaning once he becomes independent. Even when the son becomes independent, they still can't make a chazak on each other. Even though once he becomes independent, so then the father could say, we could say to the father, well, if he's independent, why don't you say something? Right? Why don't you say something when he's in your field? Right? So when Rava Amar Chalku loy, no, if they separated, then loy, it's confusing here. I mean, loy doesn't mean loy, you can't make a chazaka. Loy, the halacha in the Mishnah doesn't apply, which means that you could make a chazaka. Alright? So again, we have a machlokes whether once the son becomes independent, whether you can make a chazaka or not. Right? Yeah. So, what do I want to say about this? Right. So I'm saying, don't let the word loy confuse you. Loy means loy. The Mishnah's din doesn't apply, and mainly you could do make a chazaka. So again, if you have a son, I don't know what it means independent. I mean, if he's living at home, if he's living at home, that I wouldn't call that independent, right? Wasn't there a while in Corona, everybody was moving back into their parents' houses, right? So if a kid lives in his parents' house, how can you say he can make a chazaka l'chara, right? If he's living even if he's earning his own money and paying his own food, what is the kid going to come 3 years later and say, oh, I'm an independent, so I have a chazaka on my bedroom that you sold it to me? Right? But anyway, so that's okay. I'm not sure how you define that, but okay, but that's a machlokes. Amar Rav Yomi Difti Amar Rav Papi Uvda Chalko of the Rav Papi Uvda. Rav Papi had an Uvda, meaning he had a psak. Chalko loy, that if the halacha doesn't apply for Chalko, kirava like Rava. Amar Rav Nachman Yitzchak Ishtayli Rav Chia Mihurmiz Arashtid. This is a strange name, right? He was from the city of Hormiz. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Ardashid. Yeah, the Ishtilei Rav Acha Bar Yaakov. Rav Yaakov told him, Mishmeidu Rav Nachum Bar Yaakov, Chalku Loi. The Hilchasa, Chalku Loi. When they split it, the Mishnah doesn't apply, and therefore you can make a chazaka. Right? So fine. So Tanya Nami Hachi, we have learned in the Brisa. Ben shechalak ve'ishtish in his karsha. Once the son chalak separates from the father and the wife gets divorced, they're like anybody else, and they can make a chazak. Itma. Echad min ha'achin. So now this comes into, you get into the classic family feud, what to do with the Yerusha. You had one of the brothers, he was the one that means he was give and take. But it means that he took care of all the business. Right? There's always that one kid that takes care of all the business. And all the bills came in his name. Right? All the billing came in his name. And he said, Shalihim. And then he said, they're mine. Meaning they had different mothers, all the brothers. They had the same father, they had different mothers. So this guy, after a few years of hacking all the business, said, what? What?
The Shvatim.
Yeah, like the Shvatim. Exactly.
And they had the same problems, no?
No, the Shvatim wouldn't help because the Avi Ima, except for Bill and Zilpa, roughly land the same Avi Ima. And Bill and Zilpa also. So it would only be some of the Shvatim.
That was the problem, Gershon. You pinned it. That's the problem.
No, but okay, but what happened here is that this one brother handled everything. Everything's in his name, and then he tells all the brothers, by the way, this is all my stuff in my name, but it's my Yerusha. Right? Meaning he's saying it's his Yerusha from who? From his mother. From his mother's father, because they had different mothers. Right? So Marav, Allah lahavi raya. So who wins? Who's right? Meaning who has the burden of proof? So Rav says it's on him. He's got to bring the raya. Right? But Shmuel, Allah lahavi raya. No, he doesn't have to bring the raya. The brothers have to bring the raya. Right? Because the mice is in his name. But that's part of the question. Is in his name. Does that mean anything or not? Omar Shmuel, Moideli Abba. Abba. Now Abba doesn't mean my father. Abba means Rav. That's a nickname for Rav. Yeah. So not a nickname, but a name of Chashivas. So again, it's a machlokes Rav and Shmuel, and then Shmuel saying, right? If the brother died, meaning the brother that everything was in his name died, then Allah then the brothers have to bring a raya, meaning we take care of the Yisayimim. Rav holds that the brother that's claiming that he yashid from his mother's father, right, is the one that has to bring the proof. And Shmuel saying, Rav is moided to me that when that brother dies, his kids don't have to bring a proof. We don't make Yisayimim bring a proof. We then transfer the burden of proof onto the uncles, right? Meaning the Yisayimim's uncles. Right? So masculine of Papa, Klum Tanina, Luli Yasmi, Midi Delaitan Luabuan. Do we ever do this? Do we make a taina? Meaning we had this a few weeks ago that Bezdin sometimes, or maybe last week, Bezdin sometimes can taina on somebody's behalf. So for Yisayimim, that's what they do. But here, what are they doing? Basically, Bezdin saying, are we going to make a taina on behalf of the Yisayimim, something that we wouldn't normally do? Right? So Mazar Papa, Klum Tanina, Luli Yasmi, do we really make a taina for Yisayimim? That we wouldn't do with the fathers, meaning the father didn't have to prove anything according to Rav. I'm sorry, according to Rav, the father did have to prove. And now we're saying, oh, he died, so we're not going to make the son prove it. It's too complicated for them to go through the books. So what are you going to do? We'll make the uncles prove it. Do we ever do that? For Harava, Apik Zuza, the Sarbala, Rava took a scissors from a coat maker, the Sifra the Agadata and a Sefer of Agadata, Miyasmi, from Yisayimim, Beloy Raya, without any sort of Raya. Right? The Dvaram Hasuyim, but he only took it away from the Yisayim, but Dvaram Hasuyim Lahashulu Lahasa, with things that are meant to be lent and borrowed. Meaning if I go over to somebody's house, if I go to somebody's house, hey, the thing that you own, that you have over there, that's really mine. All right. So I have to prove that it's that that it's really mine. But if it's things that are normally lent out or people rent it out, then the person has to prove that he lent it or borrowed it. Meaning a taka could belong to me. These things get lent out or rented out. So mamela, it could be I'm saying the truth. So we make the person hold on that's holding on to it to prove it. So here Rava, what's the problem?
The story of Klein Kalper, where he says over for a footnote, the Gavaldik. This one also fits in perfect. So he used to send Rabbi KK to Rosh Hashiva when he needed a sefer, right? So he would send Yibodlachan, let's say Rav David Cohen, Rav Shloimeh, Talmidim who had big, nice, good, fat sifriyas with different farms. So Rabbi KK would borrow for the Rosh Hashiva. The Rosh Hashiva, it seems, had a reputation. He did not lend out any svarim.
Uh-huh.
So Rabbi KK was sitting in his office, and he's looking at a shelf that all the svarim have nothing to do with each other. The svarim that are together. So he says to Rosh Hashiva, "What is this shelf?" He says, "That's the shelf of people who do lend out svarim."
Very good. Yeah, so that right, exactly. So that's what we're saying. So if you went over to Rav Hutner and said to him, "Hey, that's mine," since that's the normal thing to do, so he would have to prove. He'd have to prove it. Right. So anyway, so that's a Rava to the point where the Yisaimim, somebody came over to Yisaimim and said, by the way, your father died, but the svarim that you have are mine. Yeah. So Rava took it away from the Yisaimim because they have to prove it on Tomah base. So Kidushalach Rav, and why did he do this on Tomah base? Kidushalach Rav Huna bar Avin, like Rav Huna bar Avin sent, and he sent din, right? Devarim hasuyin lahashu lahasu, anything that's normally rented and anything that's normally rented out. Va'amar lekuchen hein biyadi, and they say that they're taken. I bought them. Einoy neman, he's not believed. So you see from this story that you treat Yisaimim just like any other case, and if the Yisaimim can't prove that it belongs to them, so then they're out. So how come here when the brother who's taking care of the finances claims that it's his finances, it's because he yashin from his mother. How come there, when he dies, we let the Yisaimim off the hook from proving it? So therefore, the Gemara says, kasha, it's a kasha. Right? Yeah. Now, if anybody wants a good piece of Shas information in order to impress, let's say you have a kid and you're learning your Gemara with somebody and they say the Gemara ends off with kasha. What's the difference between kasha and tiyufta? Right? Tiyufta, sometimes the Gemara ends off with tiyufta, sometimes the Gemara ends off with kasha, right? So here we have it right here. Look at the Rashbam, second thin line. Well, yeah, let's go.
I don't understand. I'm confused. What's the question? What do you mean? What's the difference between tiyufta and kasha? Tiyufta upshlag someone, kasha it's a kasha. We don't know what the answer is.
Okay. So he gufa. What's the difference?
What do you mean? Me and you having an argument, and I'm tiyufted. So you're right. I'm wrong.
And a kasha, and he doesn't have an answer.
We don't know which way to go.
It's also tiyufted.
Oh, I always thought kasha was you don't know what on the whole.
Well, let's look at the Rashbam and see what he says.
You would be right.
Okay.
Let's see what the Rashbam says. Well, pasuk, you see it the last wide line. Pasuk Rab Chananel, Rabbeinu Chananel, the Hilchus of Kishmuel, the Eicha Demis ala Achan Laviraya, where the brother dies, then that's where the brothers have to bring a raya. V'chein pirush naktina merabbai sezal kol heicha da'amar b'gemara tiyufta deployni tiyufta batlu divrei misha tiyufta love legamri. When it says tiyufta, and then it's totally gone. Aval heicha da'alsa b'kasha ki hafta shmuel loy batlu dvarov. It's not batlu. Damrina loy have a breira lahen. The butler shmuzu lagamri ella loy ashkach piruka bahu shaita the tali v'kaimus. So Naftali's right, but here you have it as a Rashbam. Yeah, actually, it's not a Rashbam. it's a Rashbam bringing Rabbeinu Hananel, because now the Rashbam disagrees with it, right? But Lamaisa, it's a good piece of riddle to tell, the Eina Klach or whatever. They say, what's the Kasha? You have to say, it's a Rashbam in Bava Basra, Nun Beis on the base, right? It's a Geshmaka, and even if they learn Cheskas Abat in Yeshiva, they ain't getting to Nun Beis on the base of Cheskas Abat, right?
By the way, Rashi and Sanhedrin and Ayin Beis Amud Aleph also says Tiyufta and Kasha are not the same thing, meaning
Tiyufta is worse.
Yeah, right. So like the way we typically, that's the way everybody.
Yes. So very good. So the Reb Kiva brings that Rashi.
Okay,
Shas right here to the left. Yeah, look to the left. Gilyon Shas.
I didn't know. I happened to have learned a few days ago, and I was like, "Wait, I
look at that. You're a budding Rebbe Kiva. You're the Rebbe Kiva.
That's when Rebbe Kiva wrote it, when he was doing Chazara.
There you go.
Okay,
but anyways, it says
yeah. When Shmuel kept on saying to Rashbam, like as long as like you were saying. So I sent him when he was davening, if the Rashbam was not around, Chesed Shabbat will be 10 blocks shorter.
That's true.
Right, it'll be 10 blocks shorter, and then all the dreidels that everybody makes, that are Meir Shapiro, the thing is out, this book comes up by Purim, it wouldn't have worked. It works because
right. No, that's yeah. But okay. Well, anyways, we don't have time now. But the Rashbam disagrees with it a little bit, and Anyways. Fine. Okay, so then Amar Rav Chisda Loishanu Eladein Chalukin. We have 3 lines down. That's what we're holding. Loishanu Eladein Chalukin B'Yisasam. This that we said that this guy has a what are we talking about? Rav, yeah. This that Rav said that.
By the way, one more thing. The Rashbam says it on Aleph that Abba, they called him Abba. Rav's name was Abba, but they called him Rav. Just like Rabbi
Rav's name was Abba.
His name was Abba. That was his name. Rav was like,
some say
like
that,
they call Rabbi Yehuda Nasi Rebbe. But his real name was Abba.
But what's that? Who says that pshat again?
The Rashbam.
He argues with his grandfather. Rashi says all over the place that Rav's name was not Abba. It was just a term of endearment.
Right. I didn't say that over. Okay, yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Rashi
right. So I think.
No.
Yeah, that's no.
Yeah, I guess
Doesn't
said, yeah.
Hold on a second. The Rashbam here says what? Right, Rav Kacha Yishmoy. Right. So I think right. So I think the normal, I don't know, the regular pshat is that it's taka chashivas. Yeah. Okay. Amar Rav Chisda. Loishanu eladein chalukim bisasim. This that we're saying that they have to bring, that the brother who took care of all the finances, he has to bring the proof that it's his grandfather from his mother. I'm sorry. That's only if they don't split the food, meaning they're all like I'm in camp, so everybody eats together. But if they split the food, Amar meisasai kimetz. Why don't we say that he got, let's say, his per diem $10 a day, and he only ate $5 of food a day, and then he used the rest. He used the rest to invest in a smart man. Right, so that's then we adjust that in. Okay, Raya
like your parents give you camp money and you only spend $50.
Exactly right. The smart one puts it away. The smart one puts it away. It becomes Warren Buffett. Right. So Raya B'mai. What's now stop. Now going back to the what type of Raya? So we said that this guy, according to Rav, has to bring proof. What's the proof? Rav Maraya B'Aiden, he has to bring Aiden that he saved the money from he didn't eat the food. Rav Shesha Zomer Raya b'makim shtar. He has to bring Bakiyim shtar. He has to bring a Raya with a shtar. Right? He has to prove with the shtar. that with a handpick, that peasant was Mekayim these things, that all these investments, etc., all belong to him. Amalei Rav Nachman, Har Rav, Har Shmuel. We have Machloikis Rav and Shmuel, Har Rav of Har Rav Sheshes. We have Machloikis Rav and Rav Sheshes. Mark Kaman Svirule. Who does he hold like? Right? Who you paskening like? So Amalei, I know Masnisi Yadayin. I happen to know a Bryce, the Tanya Echel Min Ha'achin. If you have one of the brothers, Shayanosim and Nosim B'Soich Habayis, there's a Bryce now. If you have one of the brothers that dealt with everything, go you Oynos the Shtaros Yotzin Hashmoy, and all the Oynos and Shtaros, the bills and all that went on his name. Ba'amar, and he said Shalihain, and he said they belong to me. Shanaflu li mi beis avi ima, and I came to me, it fell to me from my mother's father's house. Allah raya, he brings a raya, and that's it. So the proof is on him. B'chena isha she noises for noises abayis. You have a woman who's dealing with the household things. And the Einos and Shtaros go out on her name. And she says they're mine. She also has to bring a raya. So when it says my b'chein, what's the b'chein? Right? It's the same case. You have a man and a woman. Why should it be different? No, Mao the same isha. Even the shvicha milsa. Since lemaisa, it's a praise for the woman that somebody actually trusts her. Right? It's a big zach. Most of the time, we don't trust women with finances, at least up until this time. Right? So you would think that it's a shvachter, and therefore she said, oh, I'm not going to lose that opportunity. I'm not going to be a crook with this opportunity. So maybe she should be trusted. And she's saying, people can say, oh, look at that. Look at this lady. She's being matria. She's working on behalf of the assignment. Like Gazla Miyasmi, and she's not going to steal from the assignment. Kamash Malon, no, she still has to bring a proof that she is not going to steal from the assignment. Now here, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the assignment. The assignment here just means, Yerusha. Fine. So then the Gemara goes on a whole different thing. We said in the Mishnah of Bedvar, Machzik, Alav ben Noisin. 1 second. What time is it early Shabbos? 6. What time?
Mincha 6:10, they said yesterday.
6:10?
That's what Aaron said yesterday.
Well,
that's what probably
I guess
to you.
But is anybody on the daf going to that?
All right, so if nobody's going, we'll go back to. Yeah. So so we said this thing that we're talking about chazaka, that you need 3 years, that's if 2 people are fighting over a field. All right, but if it's time to be machzik, then to prove that something's yours, when we do a kinyan, so we said then that's just enough to dig a hole or build a fence, etc. So Gemara asked, why are you saying that it's chazaka? Are all these other cases not chazaka? I mean, it seems like the Gemara is just asking from a technical point. What if they're all called chazaka? Why are you calling it chazaka? It's the same exact thing. So why one chazaka is 3 years and one chazaka is you just build up the fence? And when it says something's missing, and this is what it says. What are we talking about with a chazaka that has a taina with it? Like the Moicher says, he didn't sell. And the guy says, what do you mean? I did buy it for you. I'm a chazaka, she'eni matayna, but a chazaka that has no taina. Somebody gives a matana, brothers that split things up, but machzik min yisei ager, and somebody who's machzik min yisei ager, all you're trying to do is a kinyan, then noal godar paratz kol shehu harez chazaka. Then all you have to do, if you lock the door, or you build a fence, or you knock down the fence, or that's the minimum you do, then that can be considered a chazaka.
All these cases, nobody's fighting over anything. You're just trying to.
Right. It's just saying, how do you prove that you bought it?
How do you prove it, or how do you make the kinyan?
But how do you make the kinyan? You're saying, and then mamela, you can prove that you bought it.
Right. But nobody's fighting on all these cases.
Right. When there's a fight, you need 3 years. When there's no fight, then you just do a kinyan, and that's it. Okay, we'll stop over here. Say it, tell him.